Good morning. Let's do our tech checks. Make sure we have audio here. It's a little bit delayed. Yep, we got audio. Perfect. Okay. So today we're going to work through the viewer feedback and actually get some of it implemented. Off camera, I've been working through on my laptop, just poking and trying to recreate some things. I can't get the guy to just bugger off, go walkies, as we determined last stream. I have not been able to get that to happen, but I think I know exactly why it's happened, and there's a couple things along with the overlap. Because what happens is when it comes into the scene, excuse me, sorry, frog in the throat already. That's a great way to start a stream. When they get loaded into the dungeon, everybody has the vector 2.0, so 00 coordinates, and then we move them to their place, but we're moving them after the A-star grid's already been initialized. So then they're actually existing on the game board, but not in the A-star grid in the proper place. So I think swapping around some of the orders, doing a couple other cleanup things to try to make sure everything gets reset in between runs, I think we can get that fixed. The other problem with the spike traps and instantly killing and basically soft locking the players, I am struggling to come up with a good solution for that one. I've poked a couple different ways trying to figure out if there is a way to do that. And the problem we have right now is I can make it so the traps work and everything's good, and then it breaks combat like AoE. I can make AoE work, but then it breaks the traps. And so I'm going to have to rethink the way that we handle death. That's going to be the key thing. Because right now, the way I have it is in like the combat manager for Fireball. We go through, we do all the calculations, do all the rolls, and then once all the rolls are done, then we play the animations, clean it all up, move on. Because the trap is not part of a combat, it doesn't go through that process. And also because it happens while moving, it can also trigger some other unwanted consequences because the character is still in a movement action when it triggers the trap. One of the things I did try was halting the movement as soon as it hit the spike trap, wait for the resolution, and then basically resume the movement. That caused other things to break where it's like, hey, it's a dud, it doesn't cause anything, but now the character wasn't on the square right, and when I manually moved them onto the square where they needed to be, then it was a real snap motion, and it was just, I didn't like the way that it was coming across. So I'm not gonna, I need to rethink how we do that type of stuff. The other thing I've got today that I think we're gonna be able to do, so we'll fix that first, the signals, not the cleanup. We'll fix the cleanup to make sure that all works. And then I want to make the AoE trap overlay change colors. So green it's valid area, orange it's not a valid area. I found a new, like, I'm aware of this, but I've never used it before, and I was playing with it last night and using a callable variable. So basically what you can do is you have a variable name and you assign a function to it. I want to try that. I don't know if I like it because I'm not as comfortable with it, but at the same time, we did linked list. I'm not as comfortable with linked list, so we did that, and those are actually working pretty good. So I want to try that. I want to see how well that works. We're going to try that. And then the other thing I think I can get in is I want to add in the item levels. That one's going to be a fairly simple thing. The part that's going to, I'm just going to switch over here to my screen. The part that's going to really, vex me is still, it's going to be this out of combat death with the traps. I'll figure it out. I just actually have to sit down and think about it. That's going to be the biggest thing. So, and then if we got time, I want to go back in. This is just a simple thing, and how abilities work. We should be able to, I don't remember if I actually made descriptions in the abilities. If we already did, then that's really easy. We just add the hover in the tooltip. So we'll take a look at that. We'll see if that actually does exist or not. But yeah, let's go through. We'll start picking off some easy stuff today, and we'll get this all done. So let's go on over. I did get some more feedback last night from Chonky Dinosaur Studios. A lot of that is it's every pain point they came across was stuff we've already identified. So stuff like enemy soft lock here. The combat log needs more details. The abilities lacking tooltips, and for the most part, the right click stuff wasn't obvious. So it's all stuff that we identified yesterday. So we've already got to the point where the feedback from Playtest 1 is going to be repetitive. Ken Evan did mention in the comment in yesterday's video, we should probably classify this into like, this is a bug, this is feedback, this is, confusion, just a different way to classify this versus this one long table. When I originally came up with the idea of making this table, I didn't think it was going to be that long. I thought when I quickly scanned through all the feedback, I was like, oh, there's going to be a lot of overlap, which, I mean, there definitely was, but I didn't realize there was going to be all this other stuff to pull from. So that was my fault for not organizing it better, but we'll probably break it apart later. But without further ado, let's go ahead. I've already got the game loaded up here. Let's see, where is my timer? Here we go. So let's go ahead. Let's start knocking. I'm not gonna use one of the Kanban cards. I'm just gonna do this, but we'll start knocking out. We're gonna do remove the starter weapons from the shop. That's gonna be the easiest thing in the world to get done. So let's start with that. So we go up to our shop screen, shop menu. So these right here, these are our basic weapons. So we don't want those in there. Because we've already got the players already has those. We don't have a way to sell them. If we had a way to sell them, then I would want to leave them in there just in case, so then the player can buy them back and go, hey, I just accidentally got rid of my starting weapons. But because I don't have the ability to sell anything right now, and surprisingly enough, like, no one made a comment about that, but at the same time, the only way to get items is to buy them from the store right now. So that's probably, once we add drops from like boss encounters and stuff like that, then the sell thing will probably come back and feedback. But okay, so we did this. We removed the starter weapons from the shop. We can fix this. Is there any other real quick knockoffs that we can do, like really, really quick? You know what? Let's change resting. Let's do that right now. Let's change the resting. So if we come back into, here's our town menu. That's shop menu. I want town menu. Here we go, town menu. So right now we have this rest button. I'm going to get rid of this rest button entirely, so I'm just going to hide it here. And then what we'll do is we'll come into the code, and we have, let's see here, rest, heal party right here, copy. So why don't we just do this? We'll just get rid of this entirely. We'll call heal party right here on the ready screen. And when we do open equip and stuff like that, we're adding the child. So when we do refresh UI, where's refresh UI? Here we go, refresh UI. We'll just call heal party right there. Do we do this at the start? We don't. No, we don't. Okay. So on refresh, no, that's not where I wanted to put that. I wanted to put it in actual refresh UI. Here we go. Refresh UI, rest.emit. What do we do with rest.emit? Rest.emit. Oh, this is the refresh, like all the gold and everything like that here. So let's just call, here we go, heal party. And so instead of here, refresh UI, when we do rest.emit, we'll just do heal party, because then rest.emit will be there. So now, no matter what, when we explore here, let's do intern here. Come on, someone get hurt. Intern. There we go. So now when we go back to town, pending he doesn't die. There we go. Now we go back to town. and we instantly healed up our wizard. We go back in, our wizard's back to full health. But now we've still got this because you can see this was still from our movement last time. So we need to clean that up. But let's see if there's anything else we can quickly pick off here. So we did resting change. We'll put that over here in our done column. Oops. There it goes. Let's see if we have anything else here that is... Dice clarification. That's probably an easy pick off we can do as well. I might run into an issue with that. I'm going to hold off on the dice clarification because we did have two things. We had the dice are too small and we want the dice to be different colors. So we'll come back to that because I think what I might also do is if we're going to do different colored dice for monsters versus the player, when I set up player dice, I think I'm just going to take the monster, what's it called? The monster shield completely off. And then same with on the monster dice, I'll just take the hero shield completely off. So then it's only going to roll swords, blanks, or shields. So, but when we do that, we might need like an empty die face. I don't know. So we'll come back to that one. So let's go back. Let's just go and start cleaning up that end of turn order like you just saw with the barbarian was still acting as the turn ended. So let's go ahead and get that cleaned up here. So let's start with in the player script. Okay, in the player script here. So what we can do is there's a lot of stuff I've had problems with here because we have this input event where if there's any mouse motion, and when I've tested this before, it'd be like, oh, the character got moved into the the game manager, moved back to town, but the input was still running because there was a mouse event and it hadn't been fully cleaned up yet. So we're going to guard against that and try to prevent that from happening. So we can use a simple check right here at the very beginning. If not is inside tree, then we can just do a return. No, let's not do a return. Let's do a set input process input to false. There we go. So then if it's not inside the tree, just stop processing. I mean, we already do that here in the beginning, and then we turn it on once it's ready. So right here, if for some reason this player gets removed from the tree, just turn off all process input. So that will stop a lot of the bugs that we've been having with this type of stuff. The other thing I want to do is I want to extend the setup to clean up. Because right now the previs right here, we don't have with the monsters, we only have it with the players. So we're going to add that function down here for the setup, function setup. We'll just take that because it's with the same thing. We're going to await the super. Oh, it's a void. I mean, there's no await because it's just that. We got to send in the grid because we got to send in these same values so the super can process it. Okay. Again, normally I would do it in await, but because the setup is a void, an await does absolutely nothing. So no reason to do that there. And then what we want to do is we want to take this path previs dot is it points? What is it? Dot p. Did I call it points? There we go. I was thinking it may have been called it PTS or something, but we're going to just empty that out. So there is no previs when this gets set up. Okay. So that's all we need for that one. We need the actor though, because we have to clear out some other stuff in the actor. So if we come back here to the actor, let's go to our setup function. Here it is. So here we've got all this stuff here. We've got the moving is false. We got the grid, the current cell, target cell. What we need to do is we also need to clear out the move points. This right here should make it so our characters don't go walkie anymore. I like, I'm just going to keep that term walkies. I don't know. It's Banger suggested that yesterday. I think I'm going to stick with that. Or not Banger. Ben, was it Bender? I forget now. I think it was Bender. What was I doing? Move points. Because that's just an array, I believe, right? Move points. That's just an array. Yeah. So we can just do move points clear. We can just clear out the array. Okay. And then what we can do from there is we can also set our current point is 0 because right now there's, our array reference is nothing. We can set our velocity to make sure our character doesn't move equals vector2.0. Okay. And then the one other thing I want to do is because sometimes the modulate gets stuck with that orange color. So we want to make sure that we set this, modulate equals color. Okay. And then we can just do, there we go. So then that should make sure that they're always white in color, that they're always have no move points, their velocity is 0. So that should reset all that stuff. Really, we could probably take game manager, here we go. We'll retransfer the party to the manager here. We also did this. I'm going to leave this in here, but the animation player, I'm going to move this over and I'm going to put that in the actor. And that's just going to be animation player dot play idle. There we go. So then we always reset whether it's an orc or a not an orc, enemy or a player. We always reset that back to normal. Let's see, what else do we need to clear out? So we've done the actor, we did the setup. We should put one more clause in here, and we're going to make use of some other built-in stuff, Godot functions. So we're going to do exit tree, okay. And I swallowed spit down the wrong throat. Oops. Excuse me. Bear with me a moment while I recover my voice. And so we did this before, where if it got pulled out of the tree, we're going to set the process input defaults. This is where it should happen, is when the player exits the tree, we set the process, pop-ups there. We set the process input defaults. When we put it in the input function as well, that's an extra safety catch, just in case that executes before the exit tree is fully out. Because if I remember correctly, the exit tree happens at the end of the frame. Let's take a look. Called when the node is about to leave the scene tree. Upon freeing, scene changing, or after calling remove child. Yeah, right here. If a node has children, its exit tree callback will be called last after all of the children have left the tree. So all of the sub things underneath our player, once all those are cleared out, then this gets called. So for safety measure, we have it in the input to stop processing input, and we have it here as well when it gets called out. So, and then I think we need to do one more thing over in the game board. And this should help with our overlap. So let's go find what do I want to do? Let's start with one thing. I don't know if I need this, but I want to add it in for safety purposes. Right here, let's do a turn manager dot current. Oops. Current turn node, and then we're just gonna put null here. Okay, So then basically what we're doing with this is we're just saying, you know, if there is for some reason in turn manager current turn node, if there is a node in there, which it shouldn't be, because when we unregistered all the players and stuff, that should clear up. But there is a possibility that something might be lingering in there. So here, when the game board first sets up, it's going to wipe that all out. And then let's see here, add, where's our add actors? Here we go. So what we're doing here is we're adding the actors, we're setting them up, we're setting their spawn position. But you see here, you know, where we're setting their spawn position is after we did the A star setup. So what we want to do is we want to move this down. And I want to put this down here, so we can move this. So we set all their positions before we set up the A star grid. I think, just want to double check to see if there's anything else I needed to do there. So we set up the spawn index. Here we go. We're connecting the die to remove the actor. I may come back in and remove this. This is going to be that problem we have with the traps is going to be connected to this. I don't really want to run the traps through the combat manager because then the trap would have to attack the player. I don't know. We'll see. So then we got the spawn index. We have this. We have the current cell. We set them into the cell. We set up that. Oh, I want to do. There's something else I wanted to check. Oh, the connect signals. Here we go, right here, these two. What could happen? I mean, this is the game board, so it should get cleared out each time. But again, if something lingers, let's just add in some more safety checks. So if character, you know, let's just copy this. So if this is connected, so if it's not connected, then connect it. We're going to do the same thing for this one. We're going to say if this is connected, and we'll say if it's not connected, then connect it. Because we still have, you know, things could linger in this. I don't foresee it happening, but again, we should probably always add these safety checks just in case, so that we're not trying to duplicate. And, you know, if someone's doing like 30 runs and now we've 30 times tried to connect these signals, we could have some problems. That should fix that. And I think in terms of that, I want to do one more. Let's do in the combat manager, let's add in some more safety checks, and then we'll be ready to test this. Okay, so in combat manager, where is setup? Nope, register actor maybe. Here we go. If it has a signal, connect it. Okay, yeah, so these right here. So let's do this first. So this is our action complete signal. So if, oops, let me put that there. We'll just do if not is connected. Then we'll connect it. Here, I mean, this is the ultimate safety we should have, is turn completed. But all of our actors will have the action complete, whereas only our players have the turn completed. So that's why I have that one here. But we're going to add one more level of safety check here. If not actor turn completed is connected, then we can add that in. Okay. So that should be good enough there. If we put this in here, then we have a lot more problems. So, but I need to circle back and check that. So let's see here. Let's check this. This should resolve our multiple run issue. So when we come back into the dungeon, like right now, if we have a rogue, we go over here, we go back to town, we come back in. The rogue is not going walkie. It's not someone else. It's now somebody else's turn. They can move perfectly fine. So our cleanup is all working as expected now. Again, we move here, we leave with the wizard, and we come back in. Somebody else's turn, everything's cleaned up, everything's working. So we can say now we have actually fixed this problem. Okay. The Orc 4X death that we have, where it shows it goes back to the regular sprites. Excuse me. This is going to be related again to the death animation, because if they die while moving or executing something else, then it goes back. The problem with the orcs, I think, is their death animation is shorter than another timer that it's waiting for, so it gets back to its reset and starts playing the idle animation before it goes away. So we have to revisit the death and try to get that all cleaned up. Let's see, what else can we do? We're going to work on the AoE targeting stuff. So let's work on that. Where is fix AoE targeting? We did another target. Here we go. Refine targeting system. We're going to work on that right now. So let's go back over to here. Let's bring up our where do we want to start? Let's start with our ability. Ability.gd. So here in our is valid target, I want to add in one more thing. So let's add if we're going to validate the dungeon tiles. So if actor.dungeon tile map and actor.dungeon tile, dungeon tile map dot get cell, what we call it, get cell tile data, was it something like that? Yeah, there it is, tile data. And then we're going to pass in the target cell equals null. So then if it's not within the map, if it's outside, it has the gray area saying, hey, it's not populated here, then we can just return false right now. There. So then we can't target, like, if the wizard wants to teleport to a gray area where there's no tiles, we want to make sure that this comes back and says that's not valid. Right now, we should have validation to prevent this, but this will also help us when we use the targeting reticle and changing colors and stuff like that. It'll use this function to validate if where we're targeting with AoE is valid or not. So like if we go into, speaking of the wizard, let's go into teleport. T-L-E-P-O-R-T. There we go. So right now is valid target. We check the target cell. We set the wizard to whoever the current actor is. If they are a wizard, just say yes, they're allowed to teleport. We have a range on the teleport spell, which is 12. We're not checking for that here, so we should probably fix that. So let's go ahead and let's just change this here. We're going to get rid of this. And we're going to just say, if wizard.dungeon tile map dungeon. So we're going to just basically use the exact same line that we used before. And wizard.dungeon tile map .get cell tile data target cell. Is it underscore target cell? Yeah, it is. Okay, target cell equals null. And then we can return false here. Okay. And then if not, we can return the wizard. Wizard is cell in ranged range. And then we're going to pass in the target cell here. And then we need to pass in, did we just call it max range for this, for ability? I think it is. Max range? What do we call it? Range, where's our ability? We called it description AP. We just called it range. Oh, we should not use that word. Yeah, we shouldn't use that word. I'll send it in here, but we shouldn't use range because that's a reserved Godot word. But we'll keep using it for right now. I mean, whatever, it'll work. So then we can just say, is it in range? Then yes. So now our teleport should only work if it's within 12 squares. Yeah, so let's just see here. So let's end the turn for him. Let's see if we can get see if we can get something that's more than 12 squares away so that we can actually get. I'm just gonna move him over to here for right now. So let's see, we got 1, 4, so that's like 3 tiles. So let's just move him down to here. Okay, and then move. Yeah, we're just, it takes a little while now to validate, but we will do our best here. There we go. Okay, those guys are dead. I never changed the hit points of the orcs, so they all only have 1 hit point. I realized that last night after thinking about everything that we're doing, going, oh, yeah, that's probably why they're not a challenge, because they're all 1 hit point. Okay, so let's go up here. Let's healing word the rogue. And I did test the healing word on the priest himself, and he can heal himself. So I'm not sure what was causing that bug that playtester experienced. So if we do teleport, and let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right here. Okay, so that didn't actually work. We got a valid back. Oh, you know why? Because I think AoE teleport is set up as an area, so we got to go back into the thing. Okay. Okay. Let's go back into our AoE targeting. AoE targeting. What do we have in here? I'm just curious. Now I'm trying to remember. We have a range 0, which I think is a single, yeah, just a single square. Okay. Okay, so let's go look at our AoE targeting here. I'm going to add in export var. I'm going to do a valid color, because maybe we'll want to change this for like different different abilities may have different targeting colors or something like that, you know. I'm just trying to think, like, yeah, I don't know, because it always seems weird to me to like cast fireball and the valid area is green. It just feels weird to me, but let's just make this so it's exportable. So let's see here, valid color. So let's make it green. So let's do 0.2. I don't know, 0.85 sounds good. And then this is our, so that was green. This is blue. Okay, and then let's make it also transparent so we can see through it. Okay, and then we're going to do basically the same thing here, but this is going to be an invalid color. And right now we already have this. So if we snag this value here, we can do, it was 1.0. What was it again? 1.0, 0. Wow. Let's do 0.6. And let's do 0.3, and then keep it at 0.4. That should be a good color. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. Make it more green. 9. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that should be our invalid colors. Valid. Oh, because I need is going to be a color, and that's going to equal. My bad. Color equals. There we go. Okay. So now we have our valid and invalid colors. Okay, perfect. Actually, you know, I probably could have just dragged that and dropped it onto there, but anyway. Now, this is the thing I was talking about before. I've never used this before, so I want to try it. I want to see how well it works. So if we do a target validator, and that's going to be of type callable. Okay. And basically what this is going to be is when the function calls AOE target, it's going to, whatever process it is that calls this, it's going to pass a validation function into this variable. It's going to be something different. We'll see how it works. So here we've got this. We've got this. Let's see. How do I want to change this? So if let's add in the safety, if target or if dungeon tile map. So we'll add in our safety. Okay. If there's a dungeon tile map, then we can say we get the global mouse position. We say this is the position to go to. Okay. And then here we need to do update. Let's call it update validity. validity. Update validity. We're going to write that function right now. And that's going to be a Boolean because we need to make sure that we say, true or false. Oh, wait, no, this is going to be the Boolean. This is not. This is going to be a void. Okay. And then so in here, what we're going to do is we're going to say var is valid. And that's going to be a bool. And we're going to set by true by default. And then we can say if target validator, right, dot is valid. Okay, so if it equates to a true statement, then we can do a is valid equals target validator dot call, and then we're going to pass it the target. Is it target? Right. Target. Yeah, that's what we're passing. Okay. So what it's going to do is then this, in theory, is we're going to set this if is valid variable based on the target validator function that we're going to pass this. And here's where we call that function and we're passing it this target value. Okay. And then what we can do here is when that's done, we can do a modulate, and we're going to set that modulate equal to valid color if is valid, is valid, else we can send it the invalid color. There we go. So this will change this based on if it's a valid color or not. Okay, and I think that's all we need for here. But now what we need to do is we need to go into our targeting machine. Okay, and then in here where we're doing our interstate, here we go. Idle, attack targeting, and where is our AoE? Oh, move targeting, no. Attack targeting, this might be where we want it to be. Where's our AoE overlay? Ability targeting. Here it is. Attack type area. AoE is what I'm trying to say here. So let's do an AoE underscore overlay dot, and then here we're going to do our target validator. Okay. And that's going to equal, we're going to call the lambda function here it's going to say what our target cell is, and that's going to be a vector 2i. Okay. So here's the function. It's going to be a bool. So we need to return a value here. And then we can say if not current ability, or not, we want to make sure that there's a game board here. So if there's no game board, again, this is just safety. Should never enter this if there's not a game board, but we want to make sure that we double check. And also if the game board dot, well, what am I trying to think of? Game board dot player, but current actor. Jesus. Current actor. Okay, so if there's not a current actor, then we also want to make sure that we're not doing this here. So if there's not a current ability, or there's not a game board, or there's not a current actor, then we can return false here. Okay, so we can just say, hey, that is not, our conditions to even start this check is not working. Otherwise, we can return the current ability dot is a valid target, and then we pass in the game board dot current actor, and then we need to pass in the target cell, which we are calling, I think, cell in this, right? Yeah. Okay. So then this, I had to think through this many times when I wrote my notes on this one. So we're defining the function here. And then so we're passing this function because this could change and we can reuse this AoE targeting for movement and single target cells and stuff like that. So we're passing this function into our AoE targeting. So this, wherever you see target validator, is a function. So when we come down here and we say if the function is valid, then we can set the value here. So we're going through that entire function, making sure it's legit stuff, and then making sure it passes the abilities is valid target. So now, in theory, this should work for teleport. So if we try to, let's enter in here. Here we go, teleport. So, oops, teleport. So these are green, and these are orange. So we can't teleport to any of these squares. Okay. So again, teleport works here, does not work out here. Perfect. Okay. So does this also work for, did we set up like fireball? Now look at that. We can only target valid cells. And fire torrent is a single target, so we don't have that set up. But because teleport was an AoE, we set it up this way. Okay. So we got that working. I feel like I'm forgetting something though. What am I forgetting? What am I forgetting here? I feel like I'm forgetting something in here. If there's an overlay, we queue free it. I think that's fine. I think that's all. You know, let's set this also back to null just to be safe. There, we'll just do that. Okay, so I think that should be all set. So that's just, again, more safety stuff. Just so then we actually have, because right here when we queue free this, it's going to point to something that doesn't exist. So it's not the same as a null. It's pointing to something that has been queue freed. So it's basically pointing to garbage. By pointing it to null, we just clean up that pointer. Okay. Let's see. What else can we do today? Let's do the item levels. That's going to be fairly simple. Or do I want to try to input the same functionality into... Okay, so here's going to be the question. How do I want to do movement and single target targeting? Right now we have this overlay. I'm not 100% sold on the overlay as the best option. But let's think about, like, how do we want to do this? We've got that. We've got all these different overlays. Do we want to reuse this AoE target for single targets? So then we can just toggle it back and forth. We could probably just do that. It'd probably be nice and easy. No, yeah. Or do we want to change it so that we change what the cursor looks like and we change possibly like the colors of whoever's within range? Yeah, I'm going to circle back to that one. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do our progression thing. Let's go here into town. So we need to set this item level. Let's do... Let's go into our actor, actually, because we need to get the item level here in the actor. Pouch item, do we have? There's use pouch items, exit tree. Okay, let's just add a function in here. Let's call function get item level. And that's going to be a int. Okay. And so let's see, var, let's do a total level int equals, we're going to set it to, do I want to set to 0 or 1? What do we want the default level to be? I think we're going to set the default level to 1. So we'll just get that, and at the end we'll return the total level. There we go. Get rid of that. Let's do... This is more of a safety thing, but let's just do the var count int equals 0. What we're going to do is we're going to count the number of items that are equipped. So if equipped weapon, okay, then we can do total level plus equals. Oh yeah, let's do the, yeah, let's put this as 0. So if we do total level plus equals, this is going to be the equipped weapon dot item level. Okay, and then we can do a count plus equals 1. Okay, and then we're going to basically do the exact same thing here, and we're going to do it for equipped accessory. Okay, equipped accessory is that, and then we're going to do a count plus equals 1. Okay, so then we can just say here if count equals 0, then we can just return 1, because that's going to be our default level. It's going to be 1 no matter what. Otherwise, we can do total level equals, can we just do divide equals? Divide by 2. Yeah. Because we want to take the average. So if we do, hold on, do I want to do it that way? Because then, let me think about this. So if we start with a total level of 0, we have a weapon equipped. It's item level 1. Okay, so we have 1 count. So we definitely will never hit this statement. We do not have this equipped. So then our item level is going to be 1. And we divide it by 2, it's going to be 0.5. So how about we do this? We do total level equals maximum of, let's see, the first value is going to be total level divided by 2, and then 1 is our minimum. There we go. So if our total level divided by 2 is going to be less than 1, we'll return 1. Yeah, there we go. So then once we have enough items, then our total level should be higher than 2. Okay, so I think that this is not going to work the right way, because this is going to return a float. This is supposed to be an integer. And do we want to round down or round up? Let's do round down. So let's change this. Let's do, I'm going to change this out. I'm going to do an integer, and then let's do floor of, how do we want to divide this out? Floor of, we need to cast a float of total level divided by 2, right? And then, do I want the floor? Just trying to think. Do I want floor or not? I don't know if I want floor. Which one does floor do? Floor drops the remainder, right? Rounds downwards towards negative infinity. Floor of 299 is 2. Negative 299 is negative 3. Well, we're never going to go negative, so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, this will drop. Okay, so this will drop the remainder. Okay. So we'll take the floor of total level divided by 2, which is going to be a float. And then we'll drop it and convert it to an integer. Okay, so that should work. Problem is because again now we have a 0, so this will give us a 0. Total item level 0 because we have a 1 plus 0 divided by 2. So then we can just do a max here of this, comma 1. There we go. So we always have a power level of 1. Okay. I think that will work. Okay. So then if we come back into our town menu and we have our... Here's these. Where's this? Rogue label. Rogue item level. Okay. So let's change this. This is going to be... item level. This is going to be the... Where we got? Priest. And this will be the wizard item level. Okay, and then let's make these all unique just to make it easier. And come back up here. Or is it in party container? Party container. Here's where we want this. Okay. So here, rogue item level dot text equals what we do, member, or we might convert it string member dot get item level. There we go. So we can just copy this. Okay, so barbarian, we'll do that. We'll paste that in here. We'll do priest, paste that in there, and then wizard. We'll paste that in there. Okay. So where's our game manager? Let's give ourselves some gold so we can test with. Yeah, 50,000. Yeah, sure, that's fine. So right now we're item level 1. Okay, so then if we go in here and let's say we buy 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. Okay. And if we equip these, it should not change because these are all item level 2, I believe. Okay. Come back here, nothing's changed. Okay. So then if we do equip, not equip, we need to buy the other weapons. Let's see, let's buy there. So now everybody has their ultimate weapon, or not ultimate weapon, but their higher level weapon here. Okay. Yep. And then we got 2, 3, 2, 2. Okay. Yep. So then that's working. So then we have the item level going up. Okay. Great. So that works there, and that recalculates. We should, based on the feedback, we should really start thinking about a better inventory screen. A better character stats. Because right now, like, we just have item level. We should probably have like attack dice, defense dice, things like that. I mean, could we just... What stats do we have? Let's take a look at our character here. What do we have for stats? Ability array. Oop, not ability array. Where's our stats array? It's here somewhere. Rogue stats. So we have movement, we have base attack, we have base defense, and we have hit points. I mean, we could probably just add those in here. So when we do a character stat screen, we can probably just add that in. So we have item level here. This is a VBox container. We can add one more. So if we duplicate this, we're going to call this item level. We can call this one movement. Okay. And we'll just change this here. Move. We'll duplicate this again. We'll call this one attack dice. Change this to attack dice. Okay, whoops. We'll just call it attack. There we go. And then we'll duplicate this. We'll call it defense. Oops, F2. And we'll call this defense. Okay. So then here we have our item level. Instead of item level, should we call it? Yeah, we'll call it item level. That's fine. Should we move hit points? Let's move hit points to the end. That is, let's see, this is the HP. Okay, so let's take the HP. We'll move that all the way down to just after defense. There we go. Oops. No. Out a level. There we go. Okay, so then we have item level, move, attack, defense. Okay, so then all that is probably going to, yeah, it's going to break because I did this here. Rogue HP is this. Let's just delete this out entirely. And let's do rogue these as unique names. So then we can just do percent. You know what? It'd be easier if we just do this. And wizard HP. Okay. So now we have all this. This is our little character equip screen. Let's try to balance this stuff out just a little bit more here. So let's do all of these. Okay, so we want to make these container size and expand. There we go. If we do a shrink center, I think that'll be better. Vertical, I'm not really too concerned about that. No, we don't want that to do that. We'll do fill just to make sure everything passes right. Oh, you know what? We should probably do that to this one too. We can do layout, container sizing. Oops, which thing were we just adjusting? Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so then this looks a little bit more balanced. This is still a little. I'm going to change this from party member to just member. Oops, there we go. I'll give it a little bit more spacing so then we can see here. And then we can just call the get moves and everything like that. So let's do that right now. So this is rogue, instead of rogue label, yeah, rogue label. Item level, rogue item level. Okay, we already got that. This is rogue. Movement. And we come down here, we go barbarian, movement, priest, and wizard. Okay. And then we can just make these, again, unique names, and we come into our script. Okay. So then we can just drag and drop these in here. Oops. Helps if I drag them into the right spot, right? Okay, so this is, we'll start up here. Dot text equals the string of member dot get. What do we call it? Get move. What do we call it? Actor. We called it. We had a variable here for it. Get attack dice. Movement finish. Start move. Movement. Here we go. Movement. Yeah, movement. Okay, so let's go back here. Dot movement. There we go. There we go. So now we should have all their movement speeds, 6, 6, 5, and 4. There we go. Okay. So then we just have to do the same thing with the attack and defense, and then we can see everything as it changes. Okay, so this is attack dice. So F2, item, rogue attack, barbarian, attack, priest attack, okay, and wizard attack. I'll just do these while we're at it. Probably could just copy and paste, but you know what? It's a little late now. Okay. Unique names, unique names. Okay. So we take the rogue attack and the rogue defense, we bring them in here. Oh, you know what? How about we bring them up with the rogue? Okay, and then this is going to be basically the same thing, except for this is going to be dot get get attack. What was it? Attack dice. There we go. And then this is going to be dot get dot text equals string member dot get defense dice. There we go. Boom. And then we'll just paste those all in here, and then we'll replace those. So wizard attack, priest defense, priest attack. Where are we at? This is barbarian. Okay. So then here we go. We have all of our stuff. Boom, boom, boom. It's all set up. Here's our character stat screen. We have 50,000, so let's go ahead and let's buy all of their, let's buy 2 of these. Let's buy this, 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 and this. Okay. So again, we have our defense 2, 1, 3, 2. If we come in here and we equipped, who's got the 1? Barbarian. So if we come in here, equip, we give him an Aegis, and we give the rogue an Aegis. There we go. 3, 2, 3, 2. Okay. Yep. Perfect. And then if we equip the twin Sai, we come back. The rogue is now 6, 4, so he has an extra defense with that. Perfect. Same with these guys. We give them their extra stuff. We come back, and this is all changed based on all that fun stuff. And we have the healing, resting, all that works. Okay, so I think, we've got, this is basically a character stat screen in town right now. So we've got that. So what we still need to do is we need to add in this. Let's see, did we do our abilities? Ability, we have a description. Let's see if we actually added it. So let's look at Fireball. Fireball, description, 4 dice attack. Okay, so we did add some. So where we populate, let's go to our HUD. Action panel container. Okay. And where we are getting, set up the action panel. For ability here, name. Okay, so button dot tooltip Is it just tooltip? What is the button? Let's see here. Attack. Where is our tooltip? Tooltip. So how do we reference tooltip underscore text? So if I do underscore text equals ability dot description. Let's see if that works. Okay, so that works. Hey, heals. Heals ally. Okay. Word of pain. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to update our descriptions to then be better about what they actually do. Probably what we'll want to do is we'll add an AP cost over here for like 1 AP, 1 AP, 0, 1, whatever. Okay. So we got those descriptions. I'm just curious here. Teleport, move to a new square, attack a single dice. Wow, I did not type very well on any of these. Okay. So we got those. Let's go over here and let's take a look here. We added the ability hits. So we can move that over here to our done. We have to clean them up, but we actually added them. We did a character stats screen. So we can put that over there. Was not intending to do that, but just kind of worked out that way. So we got the item levels. We did. Okay, so we got the item levels in there. We still have to figure out a way to calculate the party's item level. So let's go do that. That is, we'll put this in the game manager. We've got head to town. Let's make this a new function down here. Function get party item level. That's going to be an integer. Okay. I'm just going to put return 0 just so it doesn't give me an error right now. So if party members dot is empty, we'll just return 0. Okay. So just say, hey, oh no, we're going to say return 1 because that's going to be our default item level. So the average party item level is going to be 0. Or 1, I mean, sorry, if there's no party members. Otherwise, let's do a var, let's do a total level integer equals 0. We're going to start with 0. And then what we'll have to do is we'll have to iterate through each party member and add them all together. So for member in party members, and then we have to say if it's a member, member, and member dot has let's just if member is player. There we go. Let's do that. Because if they are a player, we actually is actor. We can do actor. Okay. So then we know that it's going to have the function get item level. So then we can just do total plus equals get item level. Get item level. Oh, this needs to be member dot get item level. Okay, so that should return the item level into the total. Oh, total level. Also, if I use the right variable name. Okay, and then else we're just going to do total level plus equals 1, because if it's missing a party member, then we can just do, I did it again. We just add a level 1 to say that's what a default one is. Total level plus equals 1. Okay. Oh, this needs to be indented. There we go. Okay. And then here we can do we'll do the same thing we did last time. So let's just go steal that from, that was in the actor script, I believe I put that. Get item level. Here we go. We're going to just return this. Copy. Except for this time, instead of 2, we're going to divide by 4 because there's going to be 4 party slots. So then we'll just return whatever that is. So then that should give us our item level of the party. Okay. We should probably put one of those in town somewhere. So if I add one more label, like right between these two, I think. So we get this, we have a label, we have this H box. Let's add one more H box in here. Add H box. I put that right here because it's going to be in between the two. I'm going to call this party level box. Party level. Okay. We're going to add a label. And we're going to add 2 of those. So this first label is going to be party level. Okay. And then this will be the party level. I'm going to make that as a unique name. And then here, it's going to go through where we, right here. Nope, right here. So this goes through, updates all of that. Don't care about that right now. This, oh, where did we just put that? Game Manager. So let's see here. Where do we refresh the UI? Here we go. Refresh UI, refresh UI. Perfect. Heal party. And then right here, we can set party level dot text equals game manager dot get party item level. There we go. So if we start here, we have nothing. Why do we have nothing? Oh, right. String. Okay. But we should still have something here. We should still have... Oh, because I just put this in the refresh. I didn't put this in the... Okay, let's put this back up here in the... When we first open the screen. Right there. Boom. There we go. Okay, so party item levels 1. We go in here, we buy all of the upgraded stuff. We buy everybody an amulet. We go equip. Party item, party is level 2 because we have one person at 3, everyone else is at 2. Okay, so now party is level 2. So now what we can do with that is then we can use that to spawn our monsters based on what the party level is. So if the party is level 1, maybe we'll just want to load up the green orcs, the real simple ones. Once they get to level 2, we'll load up the more intense guys. And so did we call it a monster spawner? What do we call it? Monster spawner. Here we go. So in here we have a monster tier 1. Okay, it's perfect. So we already set ourselves up for success here. Okay, so we put in tier 2 and the tier 3. Tier 2, tier 3. Okay. And then so what we can do here, let's go into monster spawner right now. We'll say right now we have, is this just our regular orc? That's orc scout, that's orc blade. That's just a regular orc. So let's just put just the regular orcs in there. And in here, let's add quick load. Let's do an orc scout. Okay, and then orc blade. Okay. Save. Okay, so now we have monsters in tier 1, monsters in tier 2. Okay, so now what we need to do is when we spawn is we need to go through and figure out which tier we're on and then spawn the monsters. So let's do that right now. Let's do a var, let's do a party level. And that's going to be an integer, and that's going to equal the game manager dot get party item level. Okay, so that will determine our item level. Let's do a var, let's say spawn pool. Yeah, let's do it this way. it's going to be easier if we do a var spawn pool, and that's going to be an array. Okay, by default, that's going to be empty. An array, and we can say it's an array of pack scenes. Whoops, over here. Pack scenes. What's SC? There we go, pack scene. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll just set this equal to whichever tier pool. So then we can load these up, and then we could just use this as the reference when we're writing our code. Don't really need to do this. We could break it out other ways, but I'm just going to do it this way because it's going to be a lot easier to do that. So we can say if party level is less than, let's say for testing right now, let's just do less than 2. Okay. And then what we can do is we can say spawn pool equals monster tier 1. Okay. Else if party level is less than 3, we can say spawn pool, spawn pool equals monster tier 2. And then we can just do else spawn pool equals monster tier 3. Okay. So then that'll set it all up there. And then we can just, instead of monster tier 1 here, we can just use spawn pool, pick random, and instantiate it. Okay. We should probably add some safety here because right now I don't have anything in monster tier 3. So if it does this, it's going to error out saying, hey, there's nothing in there. So let's see here. Let's do if monster tier 1 dot is empty, print error, no monsters to spawn. There we go, and then we can just return. There we go. So then if I don't put anything in here, it'll just crap out and go, hey, there's nothing to spawn. So nothing happens here. And then what we can do is we can kind of do this. We can come down here to this. We can say if monster tier 2 is empty. And then we can say, no monsters in tier 2 to spawn. And then instead we can set the spawn pool equal to tier 1. You know what? I don't think I like doing it this way. I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna change my mind on this. I'm just gonna do this, and I'm just gonna have a check right here in the beginning. No. Let's just check the appropriate tier. If monster.tier 1 is empty, we're just going to print an error, no monsters in tier 1. There we go, in tier 1. And then we can just return. Boom. Okay, so it doesn't stop the game, it just doesn't spawn a monster. We're going to do the same thing here. If monster tier 2 is empty, we can say no monsters in tier 2. And then we can do the same thing here. We'll just say if no monsters in tier 3, tier 3. There we go. So then we have our safety in there. It doesn't stop the game. It just returns back and says, hey, we can't do anything, so we don't spawn anything. Okay. So we'll do it that way. That'll have our safety here. One last check, just in case. We can just do if spawn pool. If it somehow gets past this and spawn pool is empty, then we can just put in, again, this, no monsters to spawn in spawn pool. There we go. Boom. Okay. So then we have all of our checks in here just in case. We have exit clauses. And then once that's all done, we can just set up here. Here's our new actor. We pick it randomly from the spawn pool, and then we spawn everything. So that should work there. I think that's all we're going to need for that. So we can test it right now, because the way that this monster spawn is working is tier 1's just going to be the green orcs. And then if we item up, level up, then we should get the other orcs. So let's see if this works. So right now we're all level 1. So any monsters that appear should be the green orcs. Okay, so just green orcs there. Okay, yep. So right now we're just getting green orcs. Excuse me. Word of pain, boom. Still need to fix those single target spell casting, but it works. So now if we go back to town, you go, yes, we go shopping. Okay, and we buy up all of our, boom, 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 boom. Did I miss one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, okay, we got them all. Okay, now if we equip all this stuff, priest, wizard. Okay. So now we are in party level of 2. So now if we go explore and we explore, we should have the higher level monsters. So if we come back down here, and there we go, we got them. Let's just make sure we don't get any green. There's a bow and arrow guy, the ones with the swords. Okay. Okay, so now we have scalability. So now our item level affects what spawns in the dungeon. We still have to make our more advanced ones. We still have to tweak these guys a little bit more to be more robust, because right now, again, they're all just a single hit point. Well, I missed them entirely, but okay. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay. So that's all there. We have the item level that affects our monster spawns. This will use the same thing once we get into when we add in a boss, and then that will affect the boss monster or treasure drop as well. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find the party level and say, the party level's 1. We want to drop items that are level 2, because we want the player to fight the bosses to get better items and then advance. And then once they get enough of those, it unlocks that new level in the shop. And it also unlocks the ability to get stronger monsters and better loot from the further monsters. So that's going to be our progression level stuff. Let's see here. Did I add in? I did not. Okay. Add in item enemy scaling. Look, there we go. We just did that. Okay. This still, again, we're making systems here, and this 100 hours is going to get us a working game. We need a lot of content still. So again, if there's any, if we go over here, let's go up here, Google Pages. There it is, right there, Google Sheets. So if you have any other ideas of what to add in, feel free to drop it in here, and then we can, start getting things built out into the stuff. A lot of these things I'm going to try to build out. Right now we have 47 items, and I think that'll work out quite nicely. Some of these are going to require extra systems, but okay. So let's see, we're at 11:30. Okay. The orcs, forex, death, or let's try to fix the buffs. Okay, so let's close this, Don't think we need that. Where's our buff manager? Here we go. We also have buff. So let's see, our buff. We have a buff name, buff manager. We have an array of buffs. Okay, so when we add in a buff, right now the problem we have is if we go here, We explore. Hey, perfect. So if I add defensive battle cry and then do it again, now what happens is over here on our actor barbarian, if we look at his buff manager, he's got 2 instances of the battle cry. So now he's got 4 defensive dice, extra defensive dice. So we want to make sure that we don't do that. We just want to replace the existing ones. So if buff has buffs, then we erase the buff. Buff on remove, actor buff removed, emit. I don't know if this is going to work, but what if we just do, so we append the new buff. The problem is here. So here's our remove buff. Because if I just try to do like this, like if I put in, like right here, if I just do remove buff, buff, so then every time if you recast it, it just gets rid of the existing one and puts the new one in. I don't think this is going to work because what I think's happening when we do this duplicate is this is getting a new name. So I don't think that this is going to remove it like we expect it to. So let's try this. So right now, go explore and turn and turn and turn. Okay, so if we do a defensive battle cry, you know what? Let's expand this first so we can actually see everything. Actors, barbarian. There we go. Buff manager. Nothing. Okay. We added in. Okay, we have 1. But you see here we have. Let's go back to the barbarian. We have this unique ID. So if I go to cast this again, yeah, see, it creates it with a new ID. So what we need to do is we need to check for the buff name. How do we do for each buff in the buffs? Oops. If I do this, so if I go through like this, if I do for buffs and buffs, right? Buff and buffs. I don't want to do buff for found. How about existing? Existing for existing. Oh my god. There we go. For existing buff and buffs. Okay. If existing buff dot buff name equals buff dot buff name, then we can remove the existing buff. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Come in here, boom, 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 and turn, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so we do a defensive battle cry. Oop, let's get our actor up here because we don't have the buffs listed on the screen yet, so we can't really see them. Barbarian, buff manager, buff size is 1. Here we go. Let's cast it a second time. Hey, that time it worked. Okay, so that removed that. Is it actually... When we call remove buff in other places, are we using the modified? I think we're using the modified name because we're going to cycle through all the buffs. For buff and expired, remove buff. Yeah, for buff and buffs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is using the updated name. Okay, so that should work. So that should fix that. Let's just make sure that we can still use guard and buff at the same time, because we want to make sure that we're not overlapping here. Okay, so we use guard, and that should give us a buff called guard. Actors, barbarian, buff. There's our guard. And we use defensive battle cry. Yeah, and then those two are separate. Okay, great. Okay, so that should fix that. Let's see, what else do we got? We have got, so that fixes this. This, it's been such a pain in my backside. Right now, let's do something fun. Let's do a dice clarification. Let's work on that. So if we come in here, what do we got here? We got dice. Do we call it dice? Dice PNG. So let's go here. Open, show in File Explorer. Open with a sprite. Okay. So what I want to do with these is I want to change this. So if it's going to be the monster dice, let's put them on a black background. So let's go with our paint fill. Let's get a color here of black. Okay, then we can do a file save as. Then we'll save this as dice underscore monster. Okay. Okay, so then what we can do here is, where do we define? So we have these. Where's our definition? Dice face, dice monster, dice simulation. Oh, where do we define the actual die itself? Do we just call it die? I think we may have just called it die. Die. Here we go. Die.scene. Okay. So here's our die. We have these dice faces. Okay. Everything's gonna be the same except for this resource array. So let's just do this. Let's file save scene as. This is not an exported thing, right? This is yeah, we defined and we imported the faces. Okay, so let's do a save scene as die monster. Okay, so then let's rename this. We'll call it monster die. There we go. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to make this is, let's see here. I want to make sure I don't break this die scene when I do it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to reset this. This still has it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then over here, we're going to add 6 elements. We're going to make these a die face, die face, die face. Instead of making resources for each of these, I'm just going to define them. And we're going to throw in the face texture. And that's going to be an atlas texture. Here we go. And we're going to bring in the monster. Where'd we put it? Monster. Dice monster. Here we go. Boom. Okay. So then we can just narrow this down, bring it in here. I think that's about the right size, right? Oh, no, 16. There we go. Okay, and then this will be, what we call the other one? Let's just double check what these are called. It's called hit. Hit 1. Okay. Hit 1. Boom. We can copy this, okay, because we're going to use this multiple times. Paste. Actually, you know what? We can just copy this entire resource. Paste. Paste. So then that'll be 3 hit dice, all controlled by this one. Okay. Okay, and then this one's going to be the face name. You know what we should do? We were just talking about this. Let's do a copy this, paste as unique. Okay, and then let's edit it. And let's make it blank. So instead of the hero shields, we're just going to make them blank. So we're going to call them blank. And then we'll make this over 16 and down 16. There we go. So that's just blank. Okay. So that's die 3, copy. And die 4, paste. Okay. And then this one, I'm going to paste this as unique. That's fine. Okay. And then this instead is going to be, what did we call these before? Monster shield? Monster shield. Okay, so we'll call this monster shield. And this will be instead of, oops, there we go. X will be 0. There we go, monster shield. Save. Okay. So now our dice faces are blank, blank, hit, 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 and monster shield. Okay. So then if we just look at the monster die here, hang on, this, we need to undo that, paste. Oh, just copy. Monster die, we'll copy this, copy, paste. There we go. So by default, then this will show as a monster die. And then this roll should just do boom, boom, boom. Okay. So then that's our monster die. So now let's go into our combat manager. Oh no, it's not combat manager. It is in our. It's not our HUD. It's our game board. Game board. Okay, and then over here, our opposition dice pool. We're going to load a die. So in here, here's our die. Where's our monster? Monster die. Monster die. Monster. There we go. Okay, and then here, where we load the die, new die equals die instantiate. Okay, so now we just need to know what our current actor is. So this is, which one are we on? This is opposition. So let's just work on, actually, let's do, this is the actor pool. Okay. Wait, where are we calling this? We're calling this build pool from Combat Manager, I believe. Combat Manager. Control F, build pool. Yep, right here. Dice actor, build pool. And then we need to send in here in the build pool. We need to send in. What happened here? My have I been talking to nobody? Is my thing been muted? No. No, my camera just shut off. Okay, let's fix that. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if this comes back in. That's there. That's there. Come on. There it goes. Well, that's weird. I also realized I didn't move my mic in front of my mouth, so I've probably been very quiet this entire time. Okay. Overheated. It's very warm in here. My CPU is at 40 degrees. Okay, so let's see here. Let's do build pool here. We probably want to pass in the type of die. So let's just do a type. We'll just make an int equals 1. Okay. And then here, if type ty type equals 1, then we can do, let's do it this way. Let's do a var new die. And that's going to be of die type, right? Equals that type of die. Else new die is going to equal, what we call it, die monster, or yeah, die underscore monster. Okay. So right now, while I'm sending it, all the dice should be of the monster type right now. So let's just see here. Let's just do, sure. Okay, did not send it as the monster type. It sent it as the regular type. Oh, because I did type equals 1. Okay, so if I do type equals 0, this should be all monster type now. It looks kind of weird without the with the blank. Let's load up that monster die again. And let's see here. Where's our, this is our blank face? Yeah, blank face. We'll do a hero shield and we'll do this as y of 0. There we go. Perfect. Copy. Paste. There we go. Save. Okay. So now if we do this again, it just looked weird without the hero shield. So if I do this again, yeah, okay. So then we've got those different types. So by default, where we just do this actor dice pool. So by default, we'll do it by 1. We go back to our combat manager where we build the pool. And then here is, we need to figure out if the attacker is a target. Okay, so here we go. Target. Where is the current actor? Okay, so the attack pool is always going to be the current actor. Okay, so where we do pool size. So build pool here. Should we just do? Now we'll do it this way. If actor, if it's an attacker, what do we use here? What's our variables? What are we using? Set up for actor and players, register actor. Where's our combat? Combat on actor, attack. So we have the target, but we don't have any reference to the current actor. Do we have a turn manager? We do have a turn manager. Okay. So if turn manager dot current turn node dot actor is player, we send 1. Else we'll send 0. Okay. And then we're going to basically just do the same exact thing here. This is a very ham-fisted way to do this, but we'll do it anyway. We'll do this, boom, boom, boom. And then this, cut this out. This will be that. This will be 0. Okay. And then we need, instead of this, we're going to say target. So if the target is a player, then we'll give it a 1. If it's not a player, we'll give it a 0. Okay. I think that should give us the multiple dice. Let's find out. Oh, it's not dot actor, just target. Dot actor is for the node. Okay. Okay, here we go. Attack. He rolls. We roll these. Okay. And then if we attack him, we roll our dice. Okay, so the defense. Oh, right, because this is only the attack. We did not do the same thing for AoE. Okay, so let's just do that for AoE. So we'll copy this down here. Attack AoE. Attacker dice. Attacker. Here's our build pool. Okay. And then we need to copy the dice build pool. The defense right here. Boom. Where was that? Right here. Build pool. Put that in there. There. Okay. So that will do AoE. I'll just make sure that I got all cases of that. Build underscore pool. There we go. Okay, so that should fix that. Let's just make sure here. We'll move. Okay, cast Fire Torrent here. We roll our dice. He rolls his. Okay. Fireball. We can't cast Fireball. We'll just end turn. Let's see here. Move. We'll use Shurikens. Again, we should have different colored dice. Ours are this color. Monsters are that color. Okay. Let's see if we can get a few more monsters in here. There we go. Okay, so a couple more monsters. Okay. And then he's got an AoE, so let's move him right to here. AoE. His dice, monster, monster. Okay. So now we have should be a clear definition between, you know, whose is what. So when he attacks, he rolls that. Okay. Okay, so we've got at least a little bit more clarification about who's what, you know, the different dice colors. Don't know if I really... Oops, that's the wrong thing. Over here. Here we go. Dice clarification. What else did we put for dice clarification? What the faces are. We did the ownership. Well, we didn't do log results. We should add that in. Yeah, we could probably just do that. That's probably going to be right in here. So we await the dice pool. Here's our damage. Calculate the results. So we send the actor dice pool results and the opponent dice pool results. So when we do the dice pool results, we're just sending the array of all the faces, right? Instantiate, add child, new die. That's building the pool. Dice roll. Here we go. Results. Append the result. Roll. Await done rolling. Proceed in children results. Append the C. The die dot result. Okay. So let's look at the die. Pick weight, return the faces. Yeah, so we're just returning a faces array. Where are we doing? Here we go. Dice resolver. Where's our dice resolver? So this has a reference to here, so we can see this monster shield. So we could put a result here. We could also do a combat manager dot log. What do we call it? What was it? Log. It was, what do we call it? Log update emit. Log update emit. And then we can just say here, let's see, how do we want to phrase this? Attacker, ATDACK, rolled that plus string of actor success plus hits. Okay, so if I just do this, let's take this actually here and do right here. Oh, you know what we can do? We can also do the return right here too. If actor successes equals 0, then we can just return 0, right? Because nothing succeeded. We don't even have to roll this. Okay. And then if we do roll, we can do this, and we can do defender. Defender rolled. Instead of this will be opposing successes. Shields. Oh, this should also have a space right here. There we go. Save. Okay, so this should give us a better combat log. So like right now, let's end turn. Come on, give me some. There we go. Boom. So attacker rolled 1 hit, defender rolled 0 shields, barbarian took 1 damage. Okay, so let's see if we can cause a miss. Who's up right now? The wizard's up. Let's see if he can miss. He missed. Okay, so it did not stop the rolling. Still gave us a better node. So, I mean, that definitely helps because then it says that, but oh, right, because this calculating results is happening after the dice roll, because here we build the pool, we do the dice roll here, we do the dice roll here. Well, we'll come back to that. At least right now we have a better, oops, wrong screen. We have a better dice clarification here. So we have the not dice clarification. What do we call it? The or was it over here? Wow, now my brain is starting to go batty here. Where's the dice? Dice. Here we go. Faces, ownership. We got the ownership by the color coded. We have the log results. We don't explain the faces, but I mean, we could definitely do that in the tutorial or in the itch page, but that will come later. So I'm not too worried about that, but I think that's going to help the dice clarification. I don't know if it's going to be enough. That's going to be the problem. I think that's going to help because then it's going to say, you know, so-and-so rolled, whoops, this many. So if I move here and we attack the orc, rolled 1 hits, defender rolled 1 shields. Okay. So then that kind of explains what happened here. We can still see the dice. Oh, so if we roll this, we can see rolled 1, 0 shields, orc took a damage, 10 gold found. Okay. So at least I think the combat log will help explain the dice. That will help with that clarification. We still need I don't know if I really want to call that as done. I'm gonna. What? How would we define this milestone? Let's go back here. Okay, I'm not working on anything that's in this one. We're working on we're still kind of working on this about the playtest feedback stuff. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna call that one done then for right now. Okay. Current actor, center camera. I wonder if we can do. How easily can we do this? I've got about another 5-ish minutes left here. Let's see if we can do that real quick. Let's try to get the current actor to the camera to snap onto it. Let's see, game board. Here we go. Game board. Boom. We have the camera right here. Unhandled input. This allows us to drag. Let's add a function in here. Process smoothly interpolate to the target zoom. I'm going to add it right now. It's going to snap, but I'm going to come back eventually and do it so that it lerps over to the target. So function target camera. Okay, CAMERA. And we're going to need to a cell, and that's going to be a vector 2i. Okay, boom. Okay, and so what we need to do is we need to do the camera position. Position is going to equal the cell. There we go. So if I do this in game board, do I have the camera as an object? I do not. Let's put that in here then. Okay. So then what we can do is when we do, I think it's in here, next turn on actor, update active. Here we go. Current actor here, we set the modulate here. So what we can do here is we can do camera.2d dot, what do we call it? Focus. Do we call it move camera? Wow, what did I just call that? Target camera. There we go. Target camera on current CU. Wow, current actor dot. Oh, we don't want to use the cell because that's going to be our cell. That's not going to be the camera's going to work on global position. So current actor dot global position. We'll send that over. So let's go back into our camera 2D here. This is going to be just a vector 2. There we go. That should work. Okay. So then when we have a new person, so let's move him over to here. We'll move this camera out of the way. Yep. And then we focus here. Okay. We end the turn. Snap to him. Okay. Okay. So then that refocuses our camera. So what we need to do is we want to do this lerp. So how do we want to do? I want to do it fairly quickly. So if we just do a lerp, or no, we can do a tween. Let's do that. Var tween. It's going to be a tween. Okay. Is it tween.new? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've done this. I think it's just tween equals create tween. There we go. Okay. And then we can do a tween dot property. Or is it just tween? Oh my god, it's been so long since I've written a tween that now I've already forgotten. So that was tween property. Guess not. hold on. Wow, my brain has just gone brain dead. Godot tween. Oh, tween.tween property. That's what it is. Okay. Tween.tween property. And then we're going to tween the position. Okay. And then we're going to tween it to, oh, wait, we need to tween itself. We need to tween the position. And then we need to tween it to the cell. Okay. And then how long we want to do 1 second. 1 second sounds good. And then we can just do that. Okay. Zoom. Okay. And then we move this guy over here. Okay. 1 second's probably going to be too long. So let's do a 0.2. A little bit faster. It's not instant, but it'll be faster. There we go. Center it on him. Move him down to here. And, you know, it'll even work when I'm zoomed way in like this. Boom. End of turn. Snap. And then even when I'm down here. Okay, so that's better. I still want to do like a pulsating box around the main character. Do I have that in my UI? Let me see here. Classic UI. What do we have? We've got these, but these aren't really what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'll have to find the asset. I used it in my Terminus squad where it's just like a, you know, the corners of a box, and we can just kind of throb it in and out. So we can do that. Yeah, I think. Okay, let's go back and let's take a look here. What did we do? We worked on this. We did not finish it all, but we made let's add a checklist here. AoE color updates. Okay, we did that. Single target reticle. What else do we need to do? Movement areas. So we did that part. I want to make it so you can show, like, you know, here's all the possible places you can move, change the single target, stuff like that. So why didn't that save into the... I gotta go back through this code again. Since I rebuilt the server, it's not saving the drag and drop properly. Chest, basic sound. We did this. Do we have any other? Well, we got more that we want to do. So let's put this over here. Let's put this in here, and let's add center camera and bounding box. Bounding box. Okay. So we did the center camera. We still have to add in the bounding box. And camera movement is not intuitive. Yeah, I want to go back through, and in here where we do this movement here, we have the dragging right here where we can just drag it around and movement. I want to add like WASD so we can then move things around that way. Just not there yet. Okay, I think that's gonna be good for today. We've got quite a bit of stuff done. So let's go ahead and go over here and hit our, whoops, wrong window. Let's hit our stop. We are at 73 hours. We're way behind. Okay. Let's see here. So we have an we don't have the escalation mechanic that I want to have in there. Yeah, we didn't check anything off here. But you know what we can do? Let's add a home checkboxes. Here we go. Uh, okay. So nothing to update on this one. We did do a lot of this stuff. So like, so what do we do here? So this right here, this should be done. So I'm going to put a strike through on that. We have not touched that. How abilities work. We started this. We did not finish it. Right click cancel. I did not add that up. You know, I wanted to check one thing just real quickly. When I made those changes with an AoE attack, if I click somewhere that's not valid, okay, I need to fix that. So if it's not valid, it goes back to the menu instead of just going away. Okay, so we definitely need to do that still. That one, I definitely want to add that. I'm not there yet. This is the one that's vexing me. We did this. We have a difficulty scaling, so we're going to cross that off, at least for right now. We fixed resting entirely. I have not added the turn phase clarification. We did add the center camera. I'm going to call that done. So we did get that. Oh, I did not fix this. We did fix this. This, I'm going to cross it off because I believe we fixed that. I have not double checked it, but all my testing prior to this fixed that. We added a character stat screen, so we can cross that off. We removed these from the starter shop. Did not do this. This one, again, like I said, I verified it does work, so I don't know exactly what the specific conditions of that were. But if someone can recreate that and let me know, that'd be awesome. Make dice larger. I did not do that. Enemy identify. Oh yeah, we want identifier tags. I'm going to call it. This one I have not seen happen. I think that may have been a misinterpretation of a soft lock, so I'm going to cross that off. Escalation mechanic. Don't have that in there yet. Not enough content. Okay, so we did cross off quite a few things on here. We have not finished, you know, a lot of the key things because I still have to figure out how to do that. This I just have to go back through and rewrite them. I think I'm gonna add in I'm gonna just put this here, AP cost 2 buttons. There we go. So then we can actually have the AP cost right on the button and we don't have to worry about putting that in the description. The description is going to say, you know, attack with 4 dice or whatever it is. Yeah, so I think we're in good position here for right now. So we got a lot of stuff. We got some new dice in here. I'm feeling good about it. I'm a little bit slower than I anticipated. I thought we're going to be a little bit faster at doing what we're doing, but we're in a good spot. I don't know if I'll have a bonus stream this weekend or not. My voice is still recovering from vacation, so most likely not. But unless I can figure out that trap soft lock. If I can figure out that trap soft lock, I am not going to wait around until next Thursday stream. I will have a bonus stream either this weekend or on Tuesday if I can figure it out, because I want to make sure I get that problem rectified. And I think it's going to require, unfortunately, another refactor of how we handle death overall. So I'm going to poke around with that some more, try to sort out my logic. And again, anything I do is in the game is all here. I do poke and prod elsewhere because my mind keeps working even when I'm not on stream. But any changes to the game itself are all going to be done here live by me on stream. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go get some lunch and rest my voice a little bit. But hopefully, I'll be able to figure that out, and we'll have a bonus stream this weekend. I'll try it. I'll announce it at least several hours ahead of time if it does happen. But if not, I'll see everybody back at 10 a.m. Eastern time or 2 p.m. UTC time on Thursday, and we'll keep working through this. And I'm hoping that my camera just cut out. You can still hear me, but my camera cut out. So, yeah, with that, I'll call that a good end of the stream. So I'll catch you all later.